How to do a midlife reset. In this video, we're talking about how to fall in love with your work, to live in purpose and prosperity. Studies show that we actually live longer when we have purpose. First, I'll share the story of one of my role models. Her story is the epitome of a life of purpose lived well. There's so much we can learn from her passion, experiences, and life story. Be sure to stay until the end because I'm sharing a super powerful exercise to kickstart your midlife reset. Where I want to start, you see, is I'm kind of a geek when it comes to Greek mythology and philosophy and all that stuff. My undergraduate degree was in anthropology, the study of humans. So I love studying ancient history and concepts that have been around for thousands of years. If we look at history, like, where does this purpose and meaning and happiness stuff really come from when it comes to the work that we do? Aristotle used the word ammonia to describe the highest good humans can strive toward. He described it as a life well lived, and scholars have sometimes translated ammonia to simply mean happiness. But for Aristotle, it meant practicing virtues like courage, wisdom, humor, and kindness. So perhaps the words flourishing or prosperity are better descriptors than the word happiness. Another helpful concept is called ikigai. It's an ancient Japanese concept, and it essentially translates to a reason to get out of bed in the morning, or more eloquently stated, waking up to joy. Doesn't that sound like a wonderful feeling, waking up to joy every day? It's related to the idea of being in flow, right? When you're in flow with the universe, that's when we experience our best moments in life, when we're doing what we love and what we're good at. And if we're very fortunate, it also brings value to the lives of others. So how can we take all of the goodness of all of these different elements and concepts and combine them into one big ball of joy so that when our feet hit the floor in the morning and we're ready to get up out of bed, we can't wait to start our day? That is the true essence of success and happiness for me. We'll dig deeper into how to find your ikigai in a moment. One of my role models is Dr. Valerie Jane Morris Goodall, commonly known as Dr. Jane Goodall. She was born in England in 1934 with a love of animals and nature. And when she was just 8 years old, she was inspired by Tarzan and Dr. Dolittle. In fact, her dream was to travel and work with animals. Now, she wasn't able to afford college, so she attended a secretarial school where she honed her typing, shorthand, and bookkeeping skills. But she held on to her dream of going to Africa. So she saved every penny from waitressing and other odd jobs that she took on. At age 23, she left England to go to Africa to visit friends, specifically a friend living on a farm in Nairobi, Kenya. On her way there, good fortune smiled, and she met Dr. Louis Leakey, the famous paleoanthropologist, and he offered her a job at a local natural history museum. After a little while, Dr. Leakey asked her to go study chimpanzees in the wild in Tanzania. Now, it was Jane's passion for animals and nature, her knowledge, her electric energy and drive that convinced Dr. Leakey that Jane was the perfect person to go study chimpanzees. He saw Jane's lack of academic training in the field as a bonus because she wasn't biased by traditional preconceptions about how to study these creatures. Now, Dr. Leakey had his own agenda because he felt that by studying our closest living relatives, we might be able to learn what our early human ancestors were like and things that fossils alone could never show us. So Jane arrived by boat to the game reserve in July of 1960, escorted by her mom and a cook because the local officials wouldn't let her stay without a proper escort. It was a very proper cultural time in history. Now, her work was not without challenges, as is often the case, right? When we embark on something new, she got malaria. She went for very long periods hiking through thick brush and really steep terrain without seeing a single chimp. finally, one older chimpanzee allowed her to observe him. When he did, it was a signal to the rest of the chimpanzee community that the other members could also allow Jane to watch them. She made 3 groundbreaking observations that changed conventional scientific assumptions at the time. She discovered chimps made and used tools, which literally redefined what it meant to be a human being. In 1966, Jane earned a PhD without an undergraduate degree. Unheard of, right? In 1986, she attended a conference where all of the speakers discussed the problem of deforestation at all their study sites around the world. In the early 1990s, she herself was shocked when from an airplane she saw large-scale deforestation near the preserve where she had worked. She saw nearby villages were rapidly expanding and stepped up to try to protect the forest, and of course, her beloved chimps. At age 90, Jane still travels about 300 days a year, giving speeches, talking to government officials and business people around the globe, encouraging them to support wildlife conservation. She still works hard to raise awareness and provide funding to protect the chimpanzees, their habitat, and the planet we all share. Now, clearly she's in flow and loves her work so much. I don't see her ever stopping work. Why should she? I share her inspirational story to ask, how can we find our passion, use our talents, and bring value to others, and maybe even get paid for it? Let's return to the concept of ikigai. Remember, this is the intersection of your passion, your talents, and your potential to contribute to others or the world and to get paid for it. In my book, Claim Your Dream Life, there's a link in the description, I explain 2 of the 4 steps in great detail. I call it your freedom formula. If you don't need income, those first 2 steps are probably all you need. They'll help you align your passions and skills so that if you do want to just do some volunteer work, for example, start a charity, those are the things you want to get super clear about. Now, these exercises are part of the exact same process one of my mentors taught me to do when I was in transition. And at the time, I was burned out. I knew I didn't want to continue with the work I'd been doing, but I really had no idea what came next for me. And of course, we've all heard, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So I knew that was what I wanted. I wanted to be able to do work that I loved so that it didn't feel like work. Now, the first step is to grab a notebook and a pen. And if you're driving, of course, you're not going to be able to do this, but you can always go back and listen again, or better yet, grab a copy of my book. It has everything you need by way of instructions. But start by writing down a list of the top 10 things that you're passionate about. And I have some questions to help stimulate ideas. What lights you up? What breaks your heart? When do you lose track of time? What would you do if money was not a concern? What are your hobbies or interests? Now, sometimes things come to mind really quickly. Other times you'll need to reflect on them a little bit, but I encourage you to list 10 things. You can ask others, get input from your spouse, partner, or kids, your best friend who knows you. Jane got excited by Tarzan and Dr. Dolittle. At age 8, she had a passion for animals in nature, and that's what really lit her up. Maybe you need to go back in time when you're a little kid. What did you get excited about then? The next step of the exercise is to write down your top 10 skills. Now here, your goal is to uncover, what am I really, really good at? We're all blessed with God-given gifts and talents, and we've learned skills along the way. And here are some questions to help stimulate some ideas here. What could you teach every single day? What questions do others ask you? What do you have expertise in that others come to you for? What career or life experience do you have? What have you learned to overcome? We all get these obstacles and challenges put in front of us in our life, and we have to learn the skills to overcome them. What could you talk about for hours? What comes really easily and quickly for you? Remember, Jane Goodall didn't pursue her dream right away. She gained valuable skills along the way to her dream. Now, there's 2 more steps in the Ikigai process, which I'll save for another video. But I want to leave you with something very important. I want to give you permission to move on. Understand that just because you're good at something doesn't mean that's what you should do when it comes to finding joy in the life work that we do. Because if it doesn't bring you joy, why do it? Now, I'm a very good contracts attorney, but sitting behind a desk 8, 10, 12 hours a day, pumping out legal documents was miserable. It did not bring me joy. So even though I was very good at it, I made somewhat difficult decision to walk away. I said, this isn't the lifestyle I want. Practicing law did not bring me joy, and it was never going to give me the freedom to pursue the lifestyle of my dreams. Most attorneys die at their desks, and that would not be my destiny. And finally, please know that the Freedom Formula process requires some patience. Sometimes the answers come right away, and if that happens for you, consider yourself very lucky and very blessed. But for most of us, the next step is letting all of this simmer and recruiting your subconscious to help guide you. Let your creative inner knowing go to work and guide you in the direction that's best for you. If you feel stuck, ask those who know and care about you some of these questions, particularly when it comes to your skills. It can be challenging. Another way you can get help is to ask for guidance in our Claim Your Dream Life Facebook group. There's a link in the description for you to join us. I also do a weekly live show on Mondays. I look forward to seeing you there and helping you figure out your sweet spot, your zone of genius, your ikigai. Remember to dream big and act on it daily. Bye for now.